everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to get back on our 65 Lincoln with a Godzilla swap. In the comments, everybody's been asking what's going on with it.
We've got some more work to do on the front of it. We've done a bunch of stuff in the back. We've got our crossmember mounted. We need to get our sway bar mounted. I made a small template out of some paper to kind of give me an idea of what I wanted to make. Kind of fits up in there like so, with our bracket like this, and it'll be just like that. Boom. All right, got the passenger side bracket all bent up, mounted. One half of it that's gonna connect to the frame is gonna be welded on. I left a small provision, as you can see the cutout there, so we can do like a plug weld or rosette style weld. And then also on the perimeter, and then you can see the mounting point right here and here. It's just a through bolt design. I'm gonna go ahead and make a copy for the other side. Got those suckers tacked in there. Everything's looking straight and leveled. So we'll go ahead and final weld these guys in and call these mounting brackets done. Got this all bolted back up. Sway bar is installed. Now we can move on to our next task, which is the whole rest of the damn car.
All right, so in previous episode, you saw us fabricate the transmission tunnel. Now we're actually going to go ahead and be attaching it. So I went ahead and up top traced around the tunnel, and that way I know how far back this lip to cut, get these two to meet. It'll probably take a little bit of hammering to get them to actually line up. But in order to cut all this back, this transmission is in the way, and also in the way of some of our welding. So the very first step is going to be getting this transmission back onto the transmission jack, lower down, out of the way. Then I could go up top, make sure my trace is good, remove the whole tunnel, and start cutting. Our next step before this transmission tunnel goes in is that we got to take care of these little open sections here. As you can see, this is going to be a little odd shape, but we're going to make it work. I tried to get this as flat as possible on either side, so that way we're at least working on one plane. We got our first section boxed in here. Second section right here has all these weird contours. But I've made this piece right here, and looks like it's gonna work pretty nicely. Getting up there. Let's tack it in, hammer it, and final weld it. Next step in our Lincoln is getting our Devious Customs aluminum fuel cell mounted up. We have a couple of replacement fresh tank straps here. They got a little tab that slips into here. It gets held as the strap gets pulled this way. And then on this side, they've got a little 3/8 hole. And then there's going to be a J-hook comes out of this hole here. It's going to be threaded and then drop down into our hole. We'll be able to put a nut on the bottom, and that'll pull the tank up flush to the bottom of the body. So we don't have any J-hooks, but we do have some stainless threaded rod. So far it looks pretty good. You can see it's flush up with the bottom of the body at the top. It matches that contour. And we are a little push, we're up against the back here. Clearance with our rear end is pretty tight. We might have to cycle this suspension to test exactly how tight it's going to be. And then on this side, this is where our fill tube goes into the stock cutout. It'll mate up perfectly with the stock filler neck. So far, we're looking pretty good. We can start designing our J-hooks to come off the top here. So we're running into one issue because we are actually running into our rear end into our tank. I've compressed our rear end up towards slam height / ride height, somewhere in between there. And for the past couple inches running up, we are touching the tank. Not really in a way that's even binding the rear end, but we don't want to be touching. So this arm, we still got adjustment to make this shorter, but we need to bring our top in before we bring our bottom in order to keep our pinion angle exactly the same. Easiest way to do this is we're going to take these link bars off, cut an inch out of them, and then re-weld them back together, which will pull our top end in. Then we'll use our adjustment here to pull our bottom end in to keep our pinion angle the same, and then that will pull our entire rear end and give us that clearance that we need right there. So let's get these link arms off and to the welding table. Okay, so we successfully shortened the length of our bars, realigned our pinion angle. The important part is now that we have a lot of clearance here between our tank. Now that our fuel tank is accounted for and our transmission tunnel is finalized, we're going to move on to the next part of the interior, and that is the dashboard. We're going to have all new display and controls for everything. So I'm going to work on getting this whole center section out of here. Even though I know it looks beautiful, we're gonna have to change it for what we're doing. I'm gonna see if I can get this whole piece out as one section, and then we'll have a template to go off of when designing everything else that needs to go in here. So we got this template made up. We're gonna use the Holley EFI display screen here. It's a shame that we weren't using the stock dash components because it looks so cool. But then the customer said they wanted the stock dash in some fashion. So got the Holley EFI screen. If you notice, our gauges here, fuel, oil, amps, temp, almost the same exact width as the Holley EFI screen. We're gonna cut this, get rid of this, and graft these sections back into the dash. So that way we can use the stock vents, and then we're just gonna have clear lucite acrylic and do some sort of backlighting in there. Cutting on the bandsaw, our two pieces, and we got a big gap in the middle. Here's our Holley screen, all taped up to safe, and slide it in, boom. So, I don't know if you can see, but this piece of chrome trim that's sticking out catches this tiny little lip under the Holley screen, and same exact thing on this side. So the Holley screen's sitting level end to end. I have it pushed up as high as possible so that way we have more room for our steering column. And now, if you look at this, because the Holley screen is straight and this piece is angled, there's this triangle gap here, 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 and here. So in order to deal with that and to get this Holley screen mounted at the same time, we're gonna create something that looks sort of like this. We're gonna have a plate that sits flush on the back. Then we're gonna weld tabs that come straight down off of it. That will fit in here and here. And then we're gonna 90 them at the bottom, and that will be our mounting points to the backside of the Holley screen. So we got our support here that this will mount to, and it has the provisions for all of our wiring to pass through. Now we got this hardware studs welded in that go through to the backside that you could easily put bolts onto. And as you can see, our screen, a little nudging, fits nicely in here. So we have this section done. Now we're going to move on to the passenger side of our dash. We used to have a radio here. There's a clock. I think this is the HVAC controls, and they stuck out here. So our idea for this is to reutilize this sort of clear area, but we'll get rid of this original plastic that's in here and get a custom piece of Lexan and lucite cut and put in here. The bottom section, keep as is. So all these cool vent controls are gonna stay. We're gonna be trying to fill in this piece of trim, and then this whole back piece is held in with this metal C-channel that then has mounting tabs, and that's what's holding in our plastic piece here. So we want this thing entirely closed in now that we don't have the clock or the HVAC, and we also want it a little bit deeper because we're going to run our lights on the top side here. So I'm going to remove this whole thing, take some measurements from here to the back, make sure we have enough space, and then I'm going to cut this thing up, make a deeper channel, box in these sections, and then when it's painted black, everything will be one continuous strip in there. In order for us to have the kind of LED strip lights that we want to have, we have to make the channel that goes behind our Lexan deeper. And if we made it deeper, it would fit into this back plate here. I'm going to cut out this strip, shave down a couple of these edges here, shave down this piece, and then we should have enough space once all that's gone to do our recess about maybe 3/4 of an inch back, so that way we could fit an LED strip running along across the top. Got our little bent panels filling in the gaps. They are fitting pretty nice in there. Next up, I'm going to clean up all the weld areas, tack them in, fill them in with actual weld. This is the back side of the piece. The front side is actually what you're going to see behind the plexiglass. Okay, our first test was kind of a fail. These fiber optic lights, they definitely light up, but not very bright, and it didn't look very good. So we're gonna switch to something with a little more pizzazz. We got this LED strip light. So we're going to mount this strip light on the bottom of this base here. Let's get this out, and then we can mount this guy in instead. Okay, so we got our plexiglass, and this is the piece that is smoked. So when you light up behind it, you'll be able to see through it. When it's unlit, pretty dark. Do a little finger test into there. Can't really see. So that will be our outer pieces. So we want to lay our template out, trace around it on here, and then for our other side piece, we got our other smoke piece here.
All right, it is party time in the Continental. Dave's got the whole dash modified. We got all our pieces of acrylic in there. We're still gonna be waiting on something to hide the bottom white line. You can kind of see it in there, but all in all, it's pretty cool. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, if you like a party, this is the party.
So now that we got that in, we're gonna start designing our center console, which means back to kindergarten, back to cardboard templates. Let's get to it. All right, so after a quick deliberation here in the party wagon, we've come up with so we're gonna swoop. So this center part right here, I believe, what was this, the ashtray and stuff?
Probably.
That's a large ashtray, jeez.
A lot of people are smoking, I like it.
We're thinking, since we're gonna have to close it off anyways, maybe we'll start our panel up high and it'll kind of swoop like this. So this will all be closed in on the sides. And then our iPad's gonna basically cascade up out of this. So you'll be able to reach through the back, but the iPad will be in front of it. So the iPad's basically gonna be floating off of our console. So Dave's gonna go cut a couple pieces, our two side pieces, and we'll bring them back in here. We'll kind of pick our radius. Guys, so as you see, we got the template made for the center console. While we're doing so, our customer walked in with a little something in his hand, a BMW center console. So now he wants to know, can we incorporate that into this? Possibly, but in frustration, we completely ripped up the template. Would it have worked? Maybe, but you're gonna have to wait till next episode to find out. Meanwhile, make sure you're subscribed because we got a brand new build coming out next week. It's a 1972 C10 you're not gonna wanna miss out on. We also got some Chevelle stuff coming up. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. We'll see you guys on the next one.